Fellow Aussians, the Wicked Witch of the West is dead.
Don't let her get away!
Let me tell you the whole story. Our paths did cross at school. Oh, you're green. I am.
Together we're unlimited.
She had her secrets.
Absolutely remarkable.
There is no fight we cannot win. Just you and I, defying gravity.
Why is it you're always causing some sort of commotion?
I don't cause commotions, I am one. Some of us are just different.
Listen to me. You can do anything.
Me good and defying gravity. And you can pull me down.
I know.
All aboard for the Emerald City! Just follow the road. It's gonna lead you right to me.
So if you care to find me to the western sky.
The best way to bring folks together is to give them a real good enemy.
This wicked witch.
Don't be afraid.
It's the wizard who should be afraid of me.
The wizard that there is or was is ever gonna bring me down.
Okay, I am so excited right now because I have to say this movie is now one of my favorite movies of all time. All time. It is amazing. And this woman, this actress, this creative artist is brilliant in it. I mean, what a cast this is. And we have her here today, the wonderful actress who plays Nessa Rose. Um, she's an actress. She's a singer. She's an artist. She's an advocate. And she was on stage in the productions of Peter Pan, Mary Poppins, Little Shop of Horrors. She's done commercials for Alexa. I love that one. And I'm going to bring her on right now. The wonderful, the talented, the beautiful Marissa Bode.
Yeah.
Yay! Oh my God. You are so stunning.
Oh, thank you.
I was just, yeah, and inside out, I could tell it too when I see you on interviews. You're so real. You're so there. It's no schmaltz, as my grandmother would say.
I try to be as authentically myself as possible. So thank you. I really appreciate that.
Yes. Well, welcome to Meet the Biz and Performing Arts Studio West. We have like one of the biggest crowds of students we've had in a long time. And I want to start off just by telling you about the Wizard of Oz. When I was 6 years old, and I know we all saw the Wizard of Oz over and over, and I was there 6 years old and I was crying. And my mom says, "Turn that off. You're scared." And I said, "No, I'm not. She's dying." So I was in love with with your family for a long time.
That's so funny. No, I feel the same way. I've loved The Wizard of Oz so much throughout all the years. I've watched it a number of times. I watched it so many times when I was younger, and now, of course, later when I was 11, watching Wicked, and then to be here now is just a whirlwind, very wild for sure.
Oh my gosh. Well, how did that, I mean, since we're right there, how did it come about? How did you get the audition? How did it all happen for you?
Yeah, so I had the audition in my email, And this was late mid-September 2022. And I sent in a self-tape. Later that day, I got a call back. And then within the span of a few weeks, I had multiple callbacks. Um, and then finally, for my last callback, it was actually a trick. It was them telling me that I got the part, which was just really special and so exciting, and just also just very thoughtful on their part. I genuinely had no idea. I was not expecting the alleged callback to go that way.
Wow. Wow. And to be in that size of film and that size of role and how is it working? Tell us a story about the connection between you and Cynthia. Because again, there's another, I mean, everybody in this, there's the casting in this is brilliant. Um, how is it? What's the story about the connection with you and Cynthia?
Yeah. So the times that I did get with Cynthia on set, the first time I met her, it was me, her, and John. And before we even just started reading through the script together and reading our scenes together at all, it was just more of a sit down, getting to know one another first, because I think John definitely puts an emphasis on knowing the person first and seeing their humanity and seeing who they are as a person, because that creates a connection and a relationship off screen so that the relationship on screen is and can be even stronger. So that was established, and then we read through the scenes. She brought her dogs. The our first day, there are these two just tiny little things,
Yeah.
so cute. And yeah, she rehearsals were already just a preview to her talent. Me first being there with her and rehearsing for the first time was just a preview to how I already knew she was talented, but then being on set with her and seeing her shine that way, that was just mind blowing. And I genuinely feel so lucky to have been a part of that and to be in the presence of just her and just so many other greats within the cast and also behind the scenes too. John, Mark Platt, all the producers, cinematography, just all the crew, all of it truly.
Well, it seemed too that the everybody on the set was so open. Like if it, I mentioned Cynthia because of the connection that you had. It felt like you were sisters. I mean, I believed it. I was like, this is incredible. So it seemed like everybody was open and there. And how long were you there in filming?
I was there 6, 7 months, so quite a while because we actually shot both films at one time. So I was definitely over there quite a while. I went back for Christmas for like a little over a week, I think, maybe 2 weeks. And then I went back for 1 week in March just to come back and visit and check on my apartment here. But yeah, I was in London overseas. That was my first time overseas, by the
Uh,
way.
oh,
But
did you
yeah.
get jet lag on the way? I went for the first time last month and I got, oh my God, this is what jet lag is.
Oh, of course, of course. It took me probably half a week before my body was fully adjusted. And even after that, like first week, I would say actually that it took for my body to really settle in and
Yeah,
not be completely exhausted.
yeah, yeah. Um, I listen. I could keep on talking about Wicked, and we will talk about Wicked, and we have a bunch of students here want to ask you questions too. But I want to go back a little to age 8. That's when you started acting, huh?
Yeah, you had to be 8 to start the local community theater that I had in Wisconsin, from a very small town in Wisconsin. And I was just on the cusp too, because auditions were in the summer and my birthday is late August. So I started acting when I was 8. My brother started before me. I wanted to be a copycat and do what he was doing. So that really was my first step into acting that way, is just wanting to be annoying copycat little sister. And then I just continued acting throughout the rest of elementary school and then middle school and then ultimately high school. And then having the question of, well, you're graduating. What do you want to do for the rest of your life? And of course, a lot of people, and no fault of theirs, of course, like you can stay where you are and live a perfectly happy life. But I knew I wanted to go beyond just my small town and really, at the minimum, just try to go for a dream that I've really always had. And if it doesn't work out, I learn and I grow from that. But I wanted to at least just try. And I ended up going to college for performing arts. And then just about a year after graduating is when I got the audition for Wicked, and it's been wild ever since.
It was a week after you graduated. What was that from
Or a
the
year, sorry, not a week, a year after
a year? Okay,
graduating. Yeah.
I heard a year. Sorry. So that was the American Musical and Dramatic Academy in Los Angeles.
Yes, in Los Angeles. There's one in New York too, but because I'm from Wisconsin, I spent one too many winters, very long winters in the cold, and that was not something that I wanted to continue doing. So I decided Los Angeles would be a better place for me.
Yeah, yeah, it is beautiful and warm, and in connection to the classes, because you took classes, you did plays. Some people think they can get to Hollywood and just do it. Why is it so important for everybody to know? Why is it important to take classes and workshops?
Yeah, it's always important to work on the craft and just so that you can grow as an artist. I think it's important to always want to and be eager to work on the craft itself. I remember having a college teacher tell me that Meryl Streep herself still takes classes and is still actively working on the craft. Ariana had an acting coach on set. Just even like some of the greats are still taking classes and are still really working at it just so that they can not only just necessarily get better, but have that feedback and know know how to grow from just whatever they're doing. And it's always okay to make mistakes too and learn and grow from that mistakes. I think mistakes are essential into growing. So I think just working on the craft will always help you grow as an artist. And that's something I would love to do more of also in the future. And just even something simple as working on a monologue and filming yourself and sending that to a teacher or to a classmate and asking their opinions. I think it's really important.
Yeah. Yeah, it's so important because I've seen people who don't do that. And, one in a billion can just walk on there and, probably James Dean, but James Dean even studied. So, I'm so there with you. Your film, you've done other films and you had a film, You're Adorable, that you wrote, produced, directed in 2021. What?
Yeah, it was yes, it was 2021. It was like earlier in 2021, I want to say.
What inspired you to do all of it? I mean, direct, act, everything.
Well, my teachers in general just always like to encourage me to act or just like outside of acting, not acting. Just working on, it goes back to the idea of working on the craft as a whole. It is good to be behind the camera too and to write just so that you learn and also just have an appreciation for what everybody else is doing as well, because there is so much work besides acting that goes in to creating a film or even a play. And You're Adorable was actually an assignment for one of my classes. The prompt, I believe, was creating a short video with little to no dialogue. And I've always just loved a little montage, but I've also really loved short films because a lot of short films do have little speaking. There's a lot of Pixar shorts that don't have a lot of speaking, and you can say so much without saying anything at all. And that's something I love about acting as well. And You're Adorable. I knew I wanted to be artistic with that, whether it was like the cinematography and the different colors of lighting within that, and also just little symbolism within that too, and different color within that. I wanted to emphasize that. And I'm such a lover of satire, but also horror. And that was one of my ways of expressing that and showing that. And it was something that I was really proud of.
Right, right. And then you also did a couple other short films with some of your family members, right?
Yeah, so I did another one called The Boogeyman, and that one was, well, my dad was also in You Are Adorable because that was when we were all still in lockdown. So as you can see in that short, the pictures of the my love interest are pictures of a friend. But then the actual body of the person is my dad. You just can't see his face because obviously, and we just wanted to be safe COVID wise and take all the precautions needed. So my dad was in that. And then the boogeyman is my mom and dad were in that. My brother helped me with some of the camera angles for that as well. Um, and then of course, like the I always like to send and show my family these things after I edit everything together just to be like, because again, like I love feedback. I think feedback is great in terms of growing. And so I'll be like, what do you think? What should be tweaked? What should be added? Do you like this? Do you like that? So they've participated both on and off screen for the things that I've created.
Yeah. How wonderful to do it with your family, to create with your family. Right now I'm up and as people know I'm up with Mama who's turning 99 in March.
Oh my gosh.
So,
Happy very, very early birthday.
right? Happy birthday, Mama. It's wonderful to be here and then still be able to work with everybody, my extended family here at Performing Arts Studio West and Meet the Biz. I have to show you this. I don't have many of these separate. I have a Tippi Hedren. Well, this is what I got.
It's me.
That's you. I had to buy it. I love it. It looks like it's very similar. They did a great job.
They really did. They did the thing. That's literally my face.
It is. It's
Which is
amazing.
mind-blowing. I've always wanted to act and dream, but everything else that came out of it, like the doll, is I never thought of that being a thing or just like for it to actually happen is just wild.
I know. When you first saw it, what did you like go? I just did it, but can't imagine what you would think.
Totally. I mean, they did send me a few prototypes,
Okay.
just pictures of a prototype via email,
Yeah.
and virtually just to ask my feedback and see if there's any tweaks that needed to be made. Um, and then I did a photo shoot in March of this past year, I
Mhm.
believe. And out of nowhere, one of the people on set just brought over this doll and surprised me and showed it to me in person for the first time. And I was like, you guys cannot show me this right now. I'm gonna sob all my makeup off. This is too much. But I held it together. I got it together.
Oh my God, that's like a fantasy to have something like that. I have five. I have this one, and then I have one of Tippi Hedren with the birds. You know, she has birds in her hair, and I have a Barbara Streisand one, and a couple more. But anyway, I said I have to get this. It's so gorgeous. Um, and I wanted to ask about on the set. I mean, I heard that there was they made it very accessible for everyone with an accessible coordinator. I read that somewhere.
Yeah, they had an accessibility coordinator. Her name is Chantel. She is just an incredible, lovely human being. She's also in a wheelchair, which I thought was really important in terms of course, there's people that work in disability spaces that do a great job, but I think having somebody that goes through life and has experience being disabled really help with that lens of what should we do? She thought of things that I didn't think of prior to getting on set in terms of accessibility. And she was always so on top of it and just so good at what she did. She collaborated and coordinated with the person who was in charge of the trailers to build a trailer that was wheelchair accessible, whether it was having a lift to get into the trailer itself, having a button on the counters to raise and lower them to whatever height so that in the future, if there is a wheelchair user that has a shorter chair or a higher chair, that they can adjust it to them as well. Having a sliding door with the press of a button for the trailer so that those with low upper body mobility can easily open that. Just so many things that she thought of that they were so on top of and so willing to do and just learn and hear about it, which is so important. And I'm glad that's changing in this industry, that people are ready to ask questions, because I think we can't achieve true progress if those that don't already know much about disability don't ask the right questions or aren't doing the extra step and aren't taking the extra step. So I really commend the team over there for doing such a great job in terms of that.
Yeah. And like you said, hopefully now this will even more bring in more accessibility for all um, theater and film and TV.
A
Uh,
100%. Because I mean, the sets that they built were incredible, and there are other incredible sets that exist, and a lot of other major companies that have the funds to make accessibility happen if they really wanted to. So I think this should definitely set a precedent. And even for indie projects where maybe they don't have the budget, again, going back into asking the right questions and asking the disabled person or consulting with the disabled person of what steps need to be taken in order to make it accessible, even if the money necessarily isn't there to build an extra X, Y, and Z. There are portable ramps on Amazon. So I for a fairly affordable price. So I think just always asking the right questions is really important.
well, you're such an advocate, and I mean, I was looking through your website, or I think it was your website, your is what you do. And I was looking at that you are involved in climate change, accessible air travel, the Heart and Smiles. Tell me more about your advocacy.
Yeah, when I was about, I want to say 14, 15, that's when I started being a lot less selfless and caring about the world just outside of myself. And of course, I've made mistakes along the way and maybe spoke over communities along the way that I shouldn't have as like a teenager. But I think it is important to, when you do make those mistakes, one, listen to the communities, and two, just learn from that and move on and not just think, oh, well, I guess I'm done now. No, that's where you learn and that's where you grow. And I definitely have over the years. And I think that's very important to listen to a number of different communities and a number of different backgrounds, especially because myself growing up in the Midwest, with not a lot of diversity, I think it really is important to seek that out and to go and learn and see other communities outside of yourself as well. So started my activism really when I was 14 or 15, or just learning and wanting to learn, and then carrying that up until now, whether it is climate change or it is marginalized communities, or people across the world that are struggling right now. It's so many different communities that I really care about, and especially now that I have a platform, I want to use it to the best of my abilities. But I do also encourage, even me as a 15-year-old, within your community spaces, reaching out to your peers, checking in with them, seeing how you can organize within your community spaces as well, because that also really goes a long way just on the local level too.
Yeah. And it's so important. I mean, especially nowadays. I love how you said when you were 15, you started thinking not as much about you, but more of the world. And I know 70, 80-year-olds who don't do that. So I don't know them necessarily, but I've heard about them.
Mhm.
Um,
Mhm.
uh, I did see again that you are an artist. I mean, you draw, you love to cook. You have a full life. What, first of all, do you sell your art? And yeah,
I haven't yet, but I've been working on a few different clothing art pieces,
Hmm.
and I don't have I had a time frame, and then that went out the window because of course Wicked happened, and press tour happened, and so it just never happened. But I do want to create an Etsy shop where I sell some of these articles of clothing with my art on it. Um, couldn't tell you when that will happen, but I do hopefully this year want to, not this year, not by the end of 2024, sometime within 2025.
Right.
Love to do that. Because there's actually a number of disabled artists that I've been inspired by. This one little person who I am now mutuals with on social media. Her name's Katie, and I am such a fan of her work on clothing and so inspired by her art on clothing because it's just so good and so beautiful. I bought a sweatshirt in my closet currently from her. It's just she's so talented and just so cool.
Oh, that sounds wonderful. Well, I'll have to keep in touch on Instagram or something to find out when you start selling. Um,
Totally. I would love.
I would love it. I love stuff like that. Oh God, I have so many questions. I'll do a couple more and then we'll go to the group because we have some people who emailed in their questions beforehand. So we'll go from that. You know, I could talk more about Wicked. I'm gonna go to a simple question, yet it might not be. What is your biggest joy in life?
To be so transparent, probably my cats. I love my cats so much. They are truly free therapy for me. I love them so much. I have three cats that are at my parents' place,
Right.
currently in Wisconsin, so I'm really excited to go back for the holidays to see them. And then there's two cats at my partner's place that are just so cute and the sweetest creatures ever that truly bring me so much joy and calm me down when I am overwhelmed or I just need to like pet the cat to feel a little sane and a little bit less overwhelmed.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's interesting. I went back to the how I phrased the question about it might be a difficult question, but I realized coming from you it wouldn't be because you're so open and honest and
Yeah.
yeah, you just share. Oh, in connection to everything, I saw the other night that you were on the red carpet at Out 100.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun, especially as a queer woman. It was kind of surreal to be invited there because I saw a number of queer people there that I've just looked up to for years, and also met a fellow disabled person in person where we've been mutuals and I've messaged her a few times. She's messaged me a few times, but seeing her in person also was so cool. Jillian Mercado, an incredible wheelchair model and also just an incredible and sweet human being. I saw her for the first time in person on that carpet and at the event, which was so cool. She's just so sweet. And then just seeing a few drag queens and just other queer people that I've been following on social media for a number of years or in acting. I bumped into like me and my partner were there and we spent a solid like maybe 15 minutes working up the courage to go up to several people, but Katie O'Brien, who's in the film Love Lies Leading, she was there and we were just geeking out and we finally put up the courage to say hi and she was just so sweet and just such a cool person. And then of course Cynthia being the honoree of the year was just just so proud of her, and just hearing her speak on stage was just really, really cool. And she did great.
How amazing. I've always wanted to go to their celebration, so I'm hoping next year I can join on in and get there. And what's so wonderful, back to Wicked, is how diverse the cast is and how it flows. You're watching it, you're immersed in this beautiful land, beautiful, scary, happy, land, but it's so diverse, but it doesn't bring your attention to it. It just is.
Yeah, totally. I think the world of Oz was always meant to be diverse because there's so many themes within Wicked about acceptance and accepting who you are. And I think people within marginalized communities really hold on to that theme incredibly strongly. Because we know what it's like often to feel like an outsider, or maybe be in spaces where you don't 100% feel accepted, or that people are with you 100% of the time. And that's something I hold close as somebody who is marginalized, and I know a lot of other people do. And having a cast reflects that, and having a cast that can reflect their own experiences within the marginalization they may be in, I think that was also very important too, and really came across in their performances as well.
That's yeah, yeah, and it showed and it felt and it made it even more rich for the audience. Um,
Yeah, I mean, the audience responses that we've received have just been so lovely, and just hearing other people's stories and their connections to either The Wizard of Oz or Wicked itself has been really amazing.
I can't wait to see it again and buy it on DVD. You still buy DVDs. Okay, we have some questions from the audience, and I guess it's Jay. Let's see, Futures Explored and Jay Reed. We have a couple of questions here from Blake and Hannah. Blake and Hannah. So I'm gonna add you to the spotlight. Ta-da! Blake and Hannah, I'll unmute. Hi, is that?
Hello. Hello, hello.
Hi.
So Blake is here. Blake, raise your hand. And Hannah is here. Hannah, raise your hand.
Oh,
All right.
wonderful.
All
Well,
right. And we just have a whole bunch of other admirers of your work. So
oh,
for having us, we appreciate it. Nice to meet you, Marissa.
Lovely to meet you too. Hello.
David, once again, thank you for having us on. We appreciate the opportunity.
of course, we love bringing people together. Performing arts, future, it's everything.
Yes,
So Blake, come on
Blake.
close to the camera.
There he is.
He's here, the white
There
here.
he is.
all right.
Hi.
Hello. By the way, it's an awesome movie. You were great in it.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate that.
I can't stop listening to the soundtrack.
I mean, rightfully so. I totally get
Yeah.
you. Banger after banger, song after song. The girls, the whole cast are eating just so good.
Yeah, it was a really good movie.
All right.
Thank
That's a
you.
good question.
Oh, yeah. What, as a person with a disability, what were, like, especially Wicked being your first, like, big role, I'm curious to think, what were some of your biggest highlights on set as far as, like, scenes or just interacting with the cast and whatnot?
I think one of my, specifically as a disabled person, one of my biggest loves was the dance scene in the film, because I, as a wheelchair user, have never danced that much in my life, and just haven't had the resources, or had just I had seen wheelchair dancers prior, but I was never in those spaces just yet. And so having that opportunity to do that, and then also the team of Wicked hiring a disabled choreographer, a choreographer who was in a wheelchair herself, was just really cool. And she herself is just so talented and does a lot of amazing work in the dance field herself. Her name's Hannah Rayner. And that was
Hannah
is there
here.
another Hannah there? Oh yeah, the other
Two
Hannah.
Hannahs.
Yes, asking the question. Amazing. But yes, they're We love Hannah's. We love Hannah's. Um, oh my God, thank you for whoever's telling me. Lipstick on my teeth. Love. Thank you. I hate when people don't tell me. Um, yeah, but yeah, I think the dance scene was really special for me and really being able to do something that I had never done. And it's such an art form. And that scene was really cool to say a lot without speaking at all, and communicating through dance was just really cool. And filming that was so fun. And it was just a moment, not just for me, but for the character as well. It was a lot of fun and really special.
I definitely like that scene. That was a good scene.
Yay.
Okay.
Awesome.
Hannah has a question.
All right, Hannah.
Jay actually wrote them in the chat.
So actually, Blake, why don't you stand up so Hannah can sit where?
Remember your question.
Yeah, I'll be right here.
So I'm going to read it to you in the chat.
So no, actually, Hannah, do
Yeah.
you remember it? Because I emailed it to her.
So basically, as an actress myself, my family is an acting family, and so basically, I'm a big fan of you, and my brother is a big fan of you. Sorry, I'm good. Let's see, trying to remember the questions
So
that I have.
you asked her about the what were some of the challenges you may have faced?
Yeah, basically, what is it like as a disability to be a part of, remember, of the movie?
Or some of the challenges.
So she asked, what were some of the challenges you may have faced or have faced on set during the production? And I know you kind of mentioned it before, but she was just going to ask that question in regards to what challenges and what were some of some things you learned from like behind the scenes and things of that nature.
Totally. I honestly, on Wicked itself, I really, because they did such a good job of hiring a disability coordinator, I didn't really have challenges on Wicked itself, but growing up over the years in theater and auditioning for things over the years as well, it's been a long journey for me in terms of self-love, in terms of disability. And what I've really learned over the years and an advocate for and will continue to scream from the rooftops, it is never the disability itself. It is one, proper accommodations not being made. Two, people not asking the right questions or making the extra effort to ask the right questions or get to know disabled people. And I think prior to Wicked, just even going online and looking at casting calls and seeing descriptions that were never for me, whether that was not a disabled person or it would specify just a white person all the time or a lot of the time, somebody that didn't look like me, or just being cast in things that were very minor roles despite knowing my potential and knowing in my heart what I could do. And I think that's something very important that a lot of people within marginalized communities should hold on to, is knowing their worth and knowing what they can do and that it's not them and it's other people needing to catch up and learn and educate themselves about communities that they just don't know about. I have had times in the past also in terms of ramps being up to code with certain theaters or not being up to code. So then I wasn't able to use them and then having to panic briefly and then finding a solution, which we ended up using a lift ultimately. Instead, that was up to code with the school that I was at and acting at in high school. But yeah, I think it's just people asking the right questions beforehand too, and consulting with disability or disabled people beforehand, rather than a disabled person showing up on set one day or showing up to an audition and them ending up feeling bad because somebody dropped the ball that has nothing to do with them and their disability itself.
All right, Coach Charles, the question. Yes, sir. All right. Okay.
Thank you.
Of course.
Thank you so very much.
Oh,
It's
thank
lovely
you.
to meet the two of you. Thank you for asking those questions.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Futures explored. I love it. I love it. Yeah, we love it. Meet the Biz. We love bringing all groups together. Born to Act players, Inclusion Films, so many groups, and we're all, the way I look at it is all family. Hey, we have Alice Deal here today. Alice Deal is in the spotlight.
Alrighty. Hey guys.
Hey.
How's it going?
Good to see
I'm
you.
Alice. Hi Marissa. Thanks for being here.
Of
You're
course.
fabulous. I just have to say, as another intersexual being, I think you're just a whole lot of justice on wheels. So you are the medicine that we need right now in the world. So
Thank you so much.
yeah, you're a whole lot of justice on wheels. Just remember that. You're doing good.
I really appreciate that. Thank you. That means a lot to me, truly.
Good, good. Yeah, so gosh, I have so many questions to ask you, really, as another actor with a disability myself. I guess, who are your influences? You mentioned Julia Mercado, who's also a friend of mine.
Lovely.
Yeah, she actually gave me one of her power chairs.
Queen
She's a really
behavior.
cool lady. Yeah.
Really cool. Queen behavior. Love her so bad.
Yeah.
But definitely Jillian Lolo Spencer, who I also just met for the first time recently in person. She's incredible. I have looked up to her for years. Ali Stroker, incredible. First person in a wheelchair to win a Tony, which is incredible.
Right.
Just George Robinson, who is in sex education, also just recently virtually got to speak with him a little bit. But just so many people within the disability sphere that are just rocking it and inspired me in the way that oh yes, that does validate what I already know, which is disabled people of course can act and they can be in the arts, and seeing them on screen and on stage was just very validating for me as a disabled actress.
100%. I think it's cool that you mentioned only disabled talent, because I think, as you said, seeing you, but also, seeing things like Out of My Mind on Disney Plus, and it just seems like it's very validating for people with disabilities that are acting right now, and it just you give us so much hope. And I've been at it for 30 plus years. I started when I was 5. So, and when I started, it was like, I was the only one doing that, and I just did it, and I just kept doing it. And now it just seems like the whole art world as a whole is getting more diverse, and it's just delicious. And
Really,
Wicked was a delicious showcase of that.
totally. Because I totally feel you in the way that I also didn't really grow up with seeing people that look like me. And it can feel very isolating when you might be in a community where there also in person just aren't people that look like you. So being able to see that on screen or on stage, I think is incredibly important and can help people within marginalized communities not feel so isolated and a lot less alone.
Of course. Well, thank you so much for doing what you do, being you.
Of course. You too, Queen. You too.
I try.
Always encouraging you to keep at it. Keep at it for sure.
I do it every day. I absolutely love performing, and I met David when I was a teenager. And David's always looked out for all of us. And this is indeed a special place, and I hope that you stick around and get to know some of us.
Me too. And I will. Hopefully, anyways.
Let me take a picture.
Oh, 1, 2, 3.
Yay.
Yay. Thank you, Alice.
You're welcome.
And by the way, I mean, like I say, this is extended family for me. So we all help each other, whether it's just to breathe, we have several more here. Oh, director Ringo Lay is here. Here he is. Hey,
Hi,
good to see
David.
you.
Hi.
Hi, Marissa. How's everybody?
Good. It's a good Friday. What day is it? Yes, it's Friday. I'm losing track, but it's Friday. It's a great Friday.
Thank you for having me, David, and thank you for coming on, Marissa. Um, my question is about making films for marginalized communities, which you talked about earlier. And I actually made a film with David 10 years ago called Big Gay Love. Yeah.
Yes.
Only two at the time.
And he was in it too. But my thing is always like trying, I want to make films for marginalized communities like LGBTQ and disabled communities. And I actually write scripts about that. And I was wondering, like, from your perspective, do you see a watershed moment with a film like Wicked that's so big and it's giving you like a platform? Do you see like doors opening up, or do you think like it's still as challenging as it was 10 years ago? Like with making art that is challenging and it does challenge people's perspectives, you know?
Yeah, I think there's there definitely has been strides within the past 10 years to have and help people learn and for people to see more representation on screen and on stage. I definitely feel like there has been strides, and I think Wicked is just another opportunity to open that conversation to casting and something I've already talked about a lot. And actually, I did a panel last week for Variety with Lauren Spencer and oh my gosh, her name is blanking on me. Just a number of other disabled people, as well as the director of Out of My Mind. And I think the video is coming out January or February, but it's definitely a video that I think will be incredibly important for a lot of people within the casting world and within the writing world to watch, because there is so much good conversation about one, the history of disability and how we've been perceived, two, how we've been perceived in media, and three, like the push for more inclusivity, whether it's celebrating marginalized communities within stories, or if it's writing stories that don't necessarily focus on the marginalization the whole time either, and just showing us
Mhm.
exist in the world. I think that's also incredibly important in terms of showing the world that we're out here. We know we're just like you, but we want to show you that on screen as well. And I think that's incredibly important. And I do think the industry is going in the right way. And I hope and will continue to be loud when I can to hopefully make and aid that process to happen.
Hmm. Are you getting general meetings and are like, do you see possibilities opening up for more inclusivity?
Yeah, totally. I have had a number of general meetings lately just with various casting people, more so just to get to know people within this industry more because I am so new.
Hmm.
But I do almost in every single one of these meetings ask them about disability, about their experience working with disabled people, and also their knowledge about it and how they can better maybe accommodate disabled people in the future if they haven't already.
Hmm. Thank you so much.
Of
Thank you,
course. Thank
Linda.
you.
We have one of our instructors at Performing Arts Studio West, our glorious acting coach, Diana Elizabeth Jordan.
Yay!
Hello, Marissa. I'm Diana. I'm an actor. I'm also on the National PWD Committee and the local PWD Committee. I'm going to be working at 3:30 today. It's my day off. So, but I just want to say, as someone who has been doing this a long time, you know, that I am so proud of you. I'm so proud of the next generation of talent like you and Lolo that are coming up, and I can't wait to see Wicked. I really hope for you to connect in person at a meeting. Because, like I said, I'm on the PWD committee. I've been advocating for this for a long time, and it's just keep, and you, Alice, too, honey. I know you're here. You gotta keep using your voices because we do need to see the mature people with disabilities like me, but we also need to see the younger generation. I am, again, thrilled for you. I cannot wait to hopefully meet you and connect with you one day in person. I feel like it's gonna happen. But and if you hear me screaming about 4 o'clock today, that's me at the theater. Oh my God!
Listen, you'll be screaming, you'll be crying.
I'll
Oh
be
my God.
crying. I'll be like, I met her. I saw her today, but my nephews already saw the movie and they loved it. So congratulations, and so proud that you are a part of our community, and I can't wait to connect with you one day, and I really feel we will, whether it's a year from now or 2 months from now. But thank you so much for everything you're doing for us and to continue to advocate for all of us. So welcome very much.
Thank you so much. And thank you for the work you do as well. I've been in the spotlight more recently, but I know there's so many people, including yourself, that have come before me to also make strides within these spaces. So I want to thank you too.
Welcome. And I'm gonna go. Can't wait to see you. So please take care. Thank you, David.
Thank you, Diana. I think we have a couple more who sent in their questions. Next, we have Ralphie C. Here he is, all the way from Florida, right? Oop, you're muted. Let's see. We'll unmute you. There we go. Unmuted. But now your picture's. There we go. Wait, now you're muted. There you go.
There we go. Perfect.
Everybody, salut, salut, salut. It's December. Yes, I'm actually right outside of Nashville. I'm on my way to LA. Actually, I'll be on my road trip. So,
oh, perfect.
Salut. Yeah, I'll be seeing you soon. But again, happy Friday, and thank you, David, for allowing me to join on this. And hello, Marissa. I have a couple questions. One is, I don't know, might be a little simple. It's about fear. How do you recognize it? How do you tackle it and conquer it when you're on set or even in day-to-day life?
Totally. Honestly, I deal with fear probably every single day because I am in my head a lot about everything. Shout out to my girl Anxiety, love her so bad. But totally, I think one, not being afraid and getting better at not being afraid to reach out to my peers and to my loved ones when I am feeling overwhelmed, and also just working on and practicing talking to myself more like I would talk to someone I love and somebody that I care about, how I would talk to a friend. Because I, of course, wouldn't talk to a friend like, why didn't you do it this way? Why didn't you do it that way? You should have done it this way. Shame on you for this and shame on you. I wouldn't do that. So why do I do it to myself? So I'm definitely trying to get better at doing more positive self-talk when I need to.
Do you meditate? Is that how you get through it?
Well, that's another thing that I've been working on, is actively and consistently trying to meditate more, because especially with my schedule being a lot more busy, it is hard sometimes to find that time to just breathe, but it's something as simple as if I'm in a crowded event, maybe stepping into the bathroom for a few minutes, a bathroom stall for a few minutes to just take 3 deep breaths in, 3 deep breaths out, and then go back to the space that I was in. So I think finding that community and also looking inward and allowing myself more grace and just being kinder to myself. I think that's a big way to conquer a lot of my inner fear.
Amen to that. It's a process. It is definitely a fun roller coaster. I can only imagine.
Totally, totally. Oh yeah. It's been wild.
One more question, my bad. I know there's a couple more. And it's for when you're on set. What goes through your mind right before they say action, and what's like your mantra at that moment?
I really did try my best to stay in it, and try my best to stay as my character. Of course, like talking to my cast within takes and being friendly, of course, within the scenes, but or within takes and when we have to reset. But right before the camera starts, I really did try to just remember how my character is thinking and just the experiences my character has had to lead her to where she is. Taking that all in and then also incorporating my real life experiences as well, incorporating that into the character and trying to keep those in the back of my mind, but also not trying to overthink that too much and just being and feeling the real emotions within the scene and within the context and feeling the emotions from my scene partner to go off of. So I think just thinking of the background of my character, but also truly being as present as I can be before action is called. That definitely helped a lot for sure.
Heard that, being in that moment. Again, that sounds like a really fun roller coaster.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Thank you again for so much for your time. Thank you for joining, and thank you for letting me bother your ear with some questions.
Of course. Always. Thank you so much for being here and asking the questions.
Amen. Salute to positive vibes, success, and happiness always. Hashtag Ralphie C.
We have one more from the group, and then we're gonna wind up our lovely visit with you. I could like hang out with you and get a strawberry daiquiri one of these days. That's my
We'll have
addiction.
a little cocktail.
A little cocktail, a little, dance. Samantha's here.
Hi. Hi,
Hello.
Marissa. I'm so excited to meet you. I want to apologize. I wish I could have been here earlier.
No
I
worries.
have a big job, and this was the only time I was. My favorite part of Wicked, and I'm so thankful for you for standing strong and put back against the people in mind who've been stupid ableist things. Also love Nessa Rose. They're wrong. So I am also a disabled actor, albeit in a much smaller film. I recently starred with Gene Smart and Kiernan Shipka in a film called Wildflower. But after that, I ended up losing. Oh, thank you. But I lost my talent agent because she didn't say it this way because like why would she? But I have like really severe anxiety, and so because of that, I was like it was hard. She didn't like have enough time for me. And so like, I have had a lot of other offers for representation, but I guess what's really been hard is how to know which representation is not going to like hold it against me that I'm disabled. So I was hoping you maybe had some advice for how to pick representation. I know how to look for it, thankfully, but just knowing how, like, because it's hard to be really connected to someone and then to feel like the reason they let you go is because of your disabilities. And then also I was hoping you maybe had advice about how to sing if you're not a natural singer. That's less important. The other thing that is really important is I'd really love if you have any insight about petitioning the stage productions of Wicked to make sure that Nessa Rose is only played by disabled actors on stage as well, because I really think it's time they make that transition. But yeah, I'm so thankful to meet you. It was really, I have your doll. I'm so excited. Hope to work with you someday, and probably will reach out otherwise, and have before. But anyways, I will let you talk now, Marissa.
I'm also just genuinely, and my own team can tell you, terrible at responding to anybody ever. I'm gonna be so real with you. I'm so bad at answering people. My current partner thought I wasn't interested in her because I'm so bad at replying. Because I would like take forever to respond. So full apologies there. Um, but yeah, I think as a disabled person, you're constantly feeling how people really feel about you, how non-disabled people really do feel about you, even if they don't say it outwardly. Even just because I was disabled when I was 11, and I felt that immediately, whether that was infantilization or giving a being given a pat on the back for the absolute bare minimum of like grocery shopping or just leaving my house. Just I felt that definitely right away, that oh, these people just they don't see me fully as a person and as an actual complex human being. They just see me as like a cute little thing that they can infantilize and be inspired by without actually contributing to the disability community. Um, and just saying you're inspiring and then moving on and not actually helping the community in any way or thinking twice about their expectations for disabled people. So I totally feel you on that. I think it is definitely so tricky within this industry to pick and choose what roles you want to take on, because there are a lot of characters written that are, again, going back into like infantilization or just not fully fleshed out characters and seen as just a disabled inspirational person and nothing more outside of that, and not a full-on complex human being outside of that. So I totally hear you and I totally get you. While at the same time, and I've talked with a few of my other disabled peers about this, and disabled actor peers, it's so tricky because there are so few roles out there.
So I wasn't asking about roles. I was asking about how to pick an agent.
Pick
to
an
make
agent.
sure that
Yeah, and yeah, that is also tricky, but also even when I was looking at agents too and deciding on an agent out of college, I asked those questions immediately of, have you worked with disabled people before? What's your experience working with disabled people? Can you help me as my agent going forward? And really having that conversation and making sure that they are taking that, one, taking it seriously, and two, know my views on disability as a disabled person rather than them taking on assumptions of what they think disability is and then going from there. Because I made it important to my agent and my teams to, because something that I would love to do in the future and that I've told them is working with more disabled people in the sphere and is taking on more roles that don't just focus on the disability the whole time, and also telling them the genres I love. So just letting them know my goals and my vision was very important, so that we're on the same page. It really does come down to communication. And I know it's hard because in this industry and just in general, a lot of non-disabled people are still learning about disability and the views surrounding it. So that's it's there's a lot to be done, but I think them asking questions and then extending that communication to them of your goals is important. And then singing. I had singing a few different singing lessons growing up. And I was in choir throughout middle school and high school, which was great. Um, but even prior to Wicked, and I think specifically because I went to performing arts college and I was just surrounded by so many of my peers that were just so talented, I just got in my head and was like, oh, I'm just an actor. I'm just going to act. And I still want to have that focus on acting. But I'm not opposed to musical theater. And the team of Wicked itself really, especially the musical department there, really helped encourage me and really was there to help me gain confidence in singing and help gain that skill as well, which was really important. So I think just listening to feedback, or if you have the means to, I know like financially, it can be hard for singing lessons, of course. I kind of had to stop going when I was younger because of that.
But what a gorgeous voice you have.
Thank you so much. Thank you. But yeah, just having the confidence to reach out, and if you, even if you can't find a vocal coach, um, even just asking trusted peers or people you feel safe around enough to do a little number or do a few bars and get feedback from them, I think that also could be incredibly helpful as well. Um, and then the stage production, that's tricky because I do think there is changes that could be made, although of course like I don't have a hand in anything in terms of the musical itself, um and how it's written. But a conversation that I had with Winnie Holzman, one of the main writers of Wicked, which I thought was incredibly important, and can't talk too much about this because it really reflects part two. Um, but she had seen some of the feedback from the disabled community about Nessa and how the idea of begging to be fixed of a disability can be harmful to a disabled or to the disabled community. And so she sat down with one of her friends who is disabled because she wanted to learn and she wanted to put in that work, which I think is, one, has been anyways a bit rare in this industry, but two, incredibly important. And Winnie Holzman really is a lovely human being. Um, and so I think having that and asking those questions and changing some things in part two without necessarily changing the whole story, and also keeping the magic of Wicked, I think that was really important for the film itself too. And it is good and has opened up the conversation too for the stage musical. So who knows? I have no hand in, unfortunately, in the stage musical and making whatever changes. But I think it has opened up a conversation for sure for maybe changes to be made there as well.
Right. Well, what great questions. Thank you so much, Samantha.
Thank you.
I want to first of all thank you so much. I know we went about 5 minutes over, so thank you for that.
It's partially my fault because I am number one yapper. I love to go on and drag things out a lot longer than they probably.
No, but it's the thing is your magic, and that's what this is all about. Just to wrap this up with one final question, and I got this from my acting coach, Corey Allen. He would ask this at the beginning of each class: what do you want the most at this moment in your life?
Oh my goodness. There's so much that I, not necessarily for myself, but I always am wanting everybody in my life personally to have what they need, and so that they can feel good and comfortable and not stressed out. So I wish nothing but peace and love to my friends and family, um, because life in general is stressful, and I wish nothing but the best for those that I truly love and that I care about. So that I think is something that I'm always pioneering for. And always like, even if they are going through a hard time, I just think checking in is something that I try to do, even though I'm terrible at responding. I'm trying to get better at that. But yeah, definitely wishing peace and love to my family and hoping that they're good is something I always want.
Well, thank you for being part of our family today. And who knows, maybe you'll come by in person one of these days to Performing Arts in Inglewood. You never know.
I mean, Inglewood's not all that far, so I will not say no to that.
Ooh, well, we'd love to see you. We'll get lunch and a nice visit. I'm gonna show everybody now, and we'll just do a picture of saying goodbye on the count of three. Let's see. Okay, gallery view, gallery view. Oh, there we go. Okay, on the count of three, Marissa, what are we going to say?
I guess Wicked. Might as well.
I love that. Okay, on the count of three, we're gonna all say Wicked. 1, 2, 3.
Wicked.
Marissa Bode, thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me. This was great. I'm genuinely so happy to be here.